Hey all, I'm back with another review of a class on Colossal. Colossal was kind enough to let me study from another one of their classes. If you haven't seen it yet, I've made a video studying one of their classes before. There's a link down below if you'd like to check it out. And if you don't know what Colossal is an online learning platform in a bunch of creative fields like illustration, character design, 3D, and more. The classes aren't live, they're videos, so you can just watch them at your own pace. And Colossal is giving out some discount coupons. You can find them at the link in the description, so please check it out. Today I'm going to be presenting Eunpig's class. She's a web novel cover artist and a mobile game illustrator, and also an art instructor. Her class is mainly for artists and illustrators who already have some skill but need some refinements, like self-studying illustrators who want to learn her unique art style. And since she's in the commercial space, throughout her class she gives a bunch of tips in making art in that area. Currently though, I'm trying to take my art into a different direction, but I still create character-focused illustrations whenever I want to present those characters clearly. And also, this style is what I mainly use for my art commissions, so I'm in need of polishing up my skills. And in this video, I'll share you with what I've learned. I do want to mention that this class is meant for anyone that's above a beginner level, anyone who's had a bit of experience in making art, but personally, I believe that beginners can take this class because Eunpig's teachings is really beneficial to the process of making illustrations. So if you're a beginner, you could possibly take this class as well. Her tips are really good. First off is croquis, which is a term I've never actually heard before, but I'm familiar with the concept. It's when you sketch figures in a short amount of time. You've probably seen this in art challenges or art classes with a live model. It's doing quick studies of 30 seconds to 1 minute and then moving on to 2 minutes and then 5 minutes. If you lack 3D understanding or thinking of 3D shapes in your mind, deforming those 3D shapes into lines can help you understand it better. So it's deforming the human body into just simple lines. She believes in making croquis something casual and part of your routine. She did this a lot in her free time and it really benefited her. So when you're studying a lot, this becomes your database of knowledge, and this becomes second nature to draw without references. And this also improves your observation skills. I've actually done croquis before, but it was years ago. I tried this out and I was super humbled. I thought this was gonna be easy. It's a little bit difficult. I'm so out of practice. I looked up some photos, set a timer, and then got to drawing. It turns out I was drawing faster than I was supposed to. Everything was done kind of like within 3 minutes or so. It's kind of fun though. It's a little hard, but fun. There's another chapter in the class on studying photos, but how to study it efficiently. It's pretty much an essential part of basic training. When you're studying individual objects, focus mainly on form, solidity, and texture. When you're studying a photo, you should do it within 1 hour, deform everything into simple shapes, and then work from there. Next lesson is the importance of perspective. I only thought I'd ever be using 1 to 3 point perspective in background art, but with character-focused illustrations, you'd be moving the character around for interesting compositions, and knowing the perspective greatly keeps your anatomy in check. Again, with studying photos, if you can figure out where the vanishing points are, it'll help you find out where the eye level is. And once you know where the eye level is, then you know how to place a character in that scene. So let's say I'm studying this photo, right? I need to figure out where the eye level is. So what she did was just look at anything that has like straight lines and drag them out. So that these lines, those also here from the railing. So you can see that the lines are converging down to a point here and another one down there. So this is 2-point perspective. There's actually 3 from the building that goes up like this, but it's so minimal that you can't really see it. So if these were to go down here, they would meet around here. If these lines were to come here, they would meet around here. So the eye level would appear roughly around here, just roughly there. So if you were in this place, this is where the camera is at, or maybe from your point of view, this is exactly where your eye is at. Eunpig mentioned a Clip Studio asset that I had no idea existed before. It's this grid and this box where you can just place the character in the box to help with the character's perspective. This is so useful. You can see the bright yellow line right there, that's the eye level. So if we match the eye level of the grid to the one that I dragged out there, then that's the eye level. And I could put a character in here and it would be the correct perspective. Okay, it looks quite off as I need more practice, but I do really like this asset. I'll add a link to it in the description below. There's also an interesting lesson on deformation, which is a spectrum from realism to SD, which stands for super deformed, but you may know it more as chibi. The more deformation, the less details it has. And when you're deforming, you also have to deform the shading or it becomes an uncanny valley effect. Just something to keep in mind that some art styles don't match hyperrealistic styles of shading. Eunpig gives examples on semi-realism because it's the most used art style used in her commercial field. So on semi-realism, most of the shading is using cell shading, which is to deform all of the colors. So there's only just the base color, the base shadow, and the highlight. But then it comes to a point of how do you keep such simple art looking interesting? Well, then you have to fill in the remaining density of the work with line work. That means line art. It'll need a lot of polishing and precise placements of detail. Like in this example illustration, she purposefully made the ropes on the sword to be hyper detailed because that's a point of interest. Another point of interest is the face. So the hair surrounding the face is actually just more simplified. She said that adding more lines and details of hair strands would just sort of fight for the attention of the face. Onepig also did mention that her students were struggling to add quality and density to like semi-realistic artwork and trying to avoid the uncanny valley. You could add that density information by doing something as simple as the Terminator in lighting, which is the highlight that's between the light and the shadow, also rim lighting, the light that's at the edge of the character, and SSS lighting, which stands for subsurface scattering. Think about when you put your hands against a light and the light passes through your fingers and your fingers become kind of red. That's SSS. And there's also contrast by complementary colors. So if you look at the color wheel, every color has a color that's opposite of it. Like the opposite of red is this cyan color, opposite of green is this magenta, and yellow is with blue. So each color is matched by warm and coolness. The top half is warm, the bottom half is cool. Even a slight shift in the wheel could cause differences by coolness and warmness. Like in this example illustration, these two colors, even though these two blues you would consider blue to be a cool color, these are considered different tones. Like the lighter one is considered warmer, the darker one is considered cooler, just because of their positions in the wheel. This blue is leaning more towards the cool, this one is leaning more towards the warmth. The yellow ropes, which are warm colored, have highlights of pink as cool to contrast with it. So like this is another technique in order to bring more interest and density by color to your illustrations. Then we get to see her full process in making two illustrations. One is a novel cover and another is a splash art. For the novel cover, this is according to a client's brief. A client has a brief and she made two sketches based on that brief, and then she gave reasons on why she gave that composition and angles to the client, but also explained to us her whole process. I noticed that she was working on a 7,000 pixel canvas. Oh my god. And watching her whole process was extremely informative. I noticed that she would use the cubes and these square planes to constantly check her perspective, making sure she got the anatomy right. I also took note on how she colored. She would separate each part into each color, like the skin would be one layer, all clothing and hair, if it was the same color, it would be on one layer. This helps with shading easier and also makes color adjustments without having to use a wand tool a bunch. This is surprising because I put all of my colors onto one layer. She also uses the lasso fill tool. This is how she keeps a lot of details very sharp. And I noticed throughout her process, I'm glad to know that even professionals will do a bunch of adjustments post-processing. Like, everything isn't perfect from the start. This is a very realistic art process. She also just straight up completely redid the hair. My eyes started bulging out because I thought it looked good, but for her, she understood that it didn't look good and completely painted over it. In the class materials, she also shares the full resolution files of these. Like, oh my god, I can zoom in and study these. I feel that viewing artists' PSD files is extremely beneficial. It's like having the art in your hands. Like you can see their layer structure, brush strokes, how their work looks, and you can zoom in and see that it isn't completely all clean. Like, I'm always worried that people will zoom into my art and see that it's not clean, so I make sure everything is cleaned up. But seeing that professionals work like this, it saves time, it looks kind of better as well. This just really changed the mindset for me. Watching her process was so eye-opening. Like, things don't have to be hard, just start and work your way to making it much clearer. Kind of much like doing croquis. There's a bunch of stuff that I didn't touch on, like the anatomy, composition, so I highly recommend you take this class if you're interested in knowing everything else. I just wanted to share the stuff that I personally found really helpful. Don't forget to check out the link in the description. There's a couple of coupons waiting for you there. What do you think of this class? Do you think these tips are really good? Please let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching.